we're located right at the corner of Front and Elm Street. And right at Elm Street, it changes to County Road. So sometimes you'll see our address is 544 County Road, and sometimes you'll always hear us refer to it as 544 Front Street. That's how we grew up. That's how I know it. And so without further ado, we'll just go inside and we'll start the webinar. Hope we can educate you on what e-bikes are about. And this is just an overview of e-bikes. And you're welcome to come visit us at any time. We're open 10 to 7 days a week. So come on in and let's see what we can do. So we're going to start right now today with one of our Gazelle models. And this is the Easy Flow, and we're going to talk about the step-through Easy Flow. This is our most dramatic step-through, and this is what we're calling the step-through model. This particular bike is a very comfortable bike. It's a commuter-style bike, and it's got a mid-drive motor. We're going to talk about mid-drive motors today. We're going to talk about hub-drive motors. We're going to talk a little bit about battery and battery maintenance and how you can extend your life with your battery, the life of the battery. And I also want to say e-bikes, first and foremost, they're bikes. And a lot of people have this idea that they're a motorcycle or they're a scooter or they're a moped or they're something that they're not. First and foremost, they're always a bicycle. Our bike mechanics started with bicycles, and that's because they maintain derailleurs. In this particular case, this bike has an internal shifting system, and that's a really nice feature. We'll go through that a little bit. We'll touch briefly on it. And like I say, this is just an overview of bikes e-bikes in general. So this is the Gazelle. Gazelle is a very popular brand with us, and this is a class 1 bike. It's a 20-mile-an-hour bike. And so class 1, do we go through the classes here? Is that okay? Yep. So we'll go through the classes. First and foremost, class 1 is a pedal assist only. You have to pedal the bike to have the motor engage. When you do that, there's no throttle, there's nothing like that. You have to work at this. And there's several levels of pedal assist on each bike. There's 3 levels of pedal assist, some are up to 5 levels, 6, even as many as 9. So when you have a 3-level pedal assist, that's 33% of the help from the motor. When you have a 5-level, that's a 20% level. So, and we explain all of that, but that gives you an overview. It doesn't make them go any faster. It just makes them a little more powerful. If you have a 3-level at at level 1, it's just a little more powerful than one that maybe has 5 or 9. So that's a class 1. A class 2 is a pedal assist, so you can pedal it and engage the motor, but it also has a throttle. And some people refer to it as boost. I've been hearing that a lot this week. Where's the boost on this bike? So you have a throttle. This bike doesn't have one. We're going to pull one out here in a minute. And that will give you, so let's just say you come to that stop sign or you're on that little bit of an incline and you need to get your balance going, or your balance is off a little bit. You just throttle that just a little bit. You start moving, pedal yourself. It engages the motor. Let go of the throttle. You can ride it from there, and you can change your pedal assist. You can change your gears. Most of these bikes are 8-gear ratio, or some of them are up to 24 speed bikes, just like you did when you were a kid, when you had a bike. And then the class 3 model, or the class 3 is a 28-mile-an-hour bike. It's just like a class 1. You have to pedal it to engage the motor. However, there's no throttle. And you can actually travel at 28 miles an hour. It's a great commuter bike. You'll actually get ahead of the game because you can ride through traffic and sometimes in traffic jams and things like that. Or it's nice when you can ride on a pathway that allows a 28-mile-an-hour bike. 20 miles an hour on an e-bike is plenty of speed. There's people that like either or, so it's a preference. So this takes care of a class 1 bike for us, and we'll bring out a class 2 right now. And this is a Magnum brand. This is another very, very popular bike with us. Magnum and Gazelle are super popular here in our store. So this is, if you can come in a little bit, Joe. You know what, I forgot to introduce my crew here today. We've got Joe behind the camera. So show them, Joe, show them who you are here. And that's Joe. And then we've got Evo, and you guys, some of you have met Evo from the maintenance. And we've got Kevin here today.
Howdy.
And there's a few others that aren't here, some other part-time folks and other salespeople and mechanics. So I'll go back to now the class 2. This happens to be a hub drive motor. This one, the motor's here at the rear wheel instead of here at the crank like the first bike that we showed. Doesn't have anything to do with classifications, whether it's a hub drive or a mid-drive. It just is the way that the manufacturer set this up. On this case, Joseph, can you come in a little bit close? This is a throttle right here. So you can push your throttle and just get that little bit of a boost. You can actually ride this bike without ever pedaling it. You will use up the battery very, very quick. And it's not recommended. I mean, what we're doing when we're riding a bike is to get exercise, and it's a great way to get exercise because you're moving your body, you're moving that lower body, your hips, your knees, your ankles, and it's good for the mind. It's really nice when you're riding that Coal Creek Trail or some trail system. It's a beautiful time of the year with the fall colors and the leaves falling. It's good for the soul, and it's also good for your heart, good for your cardio. So that's the class 2. Now this is a class 3 bike that we have. This is a Reese & Mueller. So this is our one of our very top end brands of bikes. So these are a little bit pricier than some of these other bikes. But one of the reasons I'm showing this bike today is it also has an internal shifter. It's called the Da Vinci shifter. I like to say that word, Da Vinci. I think it's kind of cool. And it also has a belt drive. If you look at this, so you have less maintenance with a belt drive. It's pretty maintenance free. This particular bike happens to be a class 3. So when you pedal this bike and you get those wheels rolling, you really click off the miles quickly. And very, very nice bikes. We encourage you to always come in and try bikes. You can ride anything that we've got in the store. You're welcome to try as many bikes as you want, as often as you would like. We want you, our goal here in this store is to get you on the right bike. Not to have you take a bike, take it home, and if you like it, great. If you don't like it, bring it back. We don't want that. We want you to take the time and ask the questions here in the store. We'll give you the best that we can. We don't sales pitch people. We don't ever pressure people in purchasing. The only pressure you may ever feel from anybody in this store is just try it. And why don't you get on this bike and give it a try? Why don't you try this Gazelle? Why don't you try this Magnum? And that's the pressure that you get from us. And if it's too much pressure, we'll back off real quick. So
Keep that one.
We're going to keep this one out. We're
going to move on to motors and batteries.
Motors and batteries. I'm going to have Kevin jump in here, and he's going to talk about motors and batteries for you.
Hi all. Randy mentioned a little bit earlier that basically you have 2 different types of motors that you're going to find on most e-bikes. You're going to have the mid-drive motor, where it's in the bottom bracket of the bicycle, where your cranks connect to the motor, and basically you get a more indirect transfer of energy, so it's less scooterish, less torquey takeoff with these types of bikes. A little bit more like riding a bike all the way through with the assistance coming from behind. Also, by having the motor in the middle of the bike, and on this particular model, the battery is also in the bottom tube here, all of the weight from those items keep centered under the rider, which makes for a much more balanced ride. So those are some of the benefits of the mid-drive motor. And over here, Randy has got the Magnum Navigator, what was had here just a second ago. And this one has what we call a hub drive motor. So the motor is here in the back wheel. So what you're going to find with the hub drive motor is because it's not transferring energy from the motor through the chain into the back wheel, it's already in the back wheel, and all that energy, as soon as it kicks in, goes directly to the ground. So you tend to get a little bit more of a strong takeoff from this style bike. But you know, again, that's something that's some of our customers love and are you know, want in an e-bike, and some folks are wanting something that's just a little bit more gradual in its assistance. So all of the bikes are going to use lithium-ion batteries at a varying different wattages. You know, the wattage size will directly affect the amount of distance you're going to cover, or the time that the battery is going to stay charged.
There's our train.
There's the train, just on time. And then, you know, we recommend to our customers, whenever they come back from riding their bike, whether it was a 10-minute ride or a 2-hour ride, they come home and they put their bike right back on the charger to get it charged up. All of the chargers that come with these lithium-ion batteries are smart chargers. So they know when the battery is full and it's not going to overcharge the battery, like an old nickel cadmium battery, where people always ask if the battery has a memory. There's no memory in the battery. So we suggest that you charge them up when you get home from your ride so that it's always full and charged and ready to go. However, in the winter time and extreme summertime, lithium-ion batteries don't like the extreme cold, and they don't like the extreme heat. So temperatures over 100 degrees or over 90 degrees and temperatures below 20 degrees, you're going to want to be able to take the battery off the bike. All of the batteries on every bike are removable. They're key locked to the bike. Or if you have a climate controlled garage, then you can just keep it on the bike and keep it plugged in there as well. However, if you're going to store your bike for a number of months without riding the bike and it's just going to sit, we suggest that you charge the battery up and then take it off the charger and leave it off the charger for however long you're going to just let the bike sit. You know, it's just not good from an energy standpoint to leave your chargers plugged into the wall for long periods of time, months at a time, into a battery that's not, you know, that you're not doing anything with. So those are kind of our suggestions and kind of what we teach our folks when they buy a bike from us on how to manage their battery and get the most out of the life of the battery. Typically speaking, the math that we use is roughly about 1,100 cycles of the battery before you're going to need a new battery, and that kind of maths out to about 6 years. So depending on how much you're riding the bike and how often you're fully expelling the battery, the average length of a battery is going to be about 6 years. So other than that, we're going to move on to the types of e-bikes that...
I just want to add one other thing about the batteries. The batteries, like you said, extreme hot, extreme cold. They don't like either of that, and they also don't like to be dropped. So that's really important, because that's where you hear these problems with people with their batteries. It doesn't want to be dropped, and that's how they can get damaged and actually cause some problems. So if you drop your battery and you're unsure of it, bring it in. Let us take a look at it. Let's make sure that it's okay, so that you're not having any issues with that. And then also when you leave them sit for the winter time, you might want to just drain them off just a little bit, so that, you know, just take it around the block a couple of times at some point if the battery's fully charged. And then we go into the comfort bikes. So comfort bikes, we showed you the Easy Flow Gazelle. Here's another bike. This is the bike that we're going to be raffling off. This is actually the bike. So it's a wonderful bike. 500 watt motor, Bosch system. It's a great bike. And like I said, Gazelle's a phenomenal brand with us. So we've got the comfort bikes, we've got cruiser bikes, and actually we're going to go to the commuting bikes next. And let's see, what do we got here? Here's a nice commuting bike. This is a BMC. We actually have somewhere around 10, maybe 12 brands now. This is a little bit lighter of a bike. You can, you know, ride with this bike. You can really click off the miles with this. This is more of a traditional rider, that somebody that's more used to riding, you know, I say the word purist because, and I mean that in a very compassionate way. They're just cyclists, and they might just need a little bit of a boost here and there. And so this is one of them. Grab me that Fantic for a second, Evo. So that's the B&C brand. I'm going to show you a bike. We don't sell a lot of these bikes. And this is called the Fantic brand. This is an Italian bike, so we like it here in the store because we like Italians. Okay, so this bike has a motor and a battery built right in it. When you remove this motor and battery, it comes out as a unit. This bike weighs in with the battery and the motor at 23 pounds. So people talk about the weight of electric bikes. I'm showing you this bike mainly because this is a traditional drop handlebars, 17 pounds without the battery. And any one of our e-bikes, any e-bike out there, you can turn it off and ride it like a regular bike. That was the whole purpose of Fantic putting this together. So there you go, Evo. Thank you. The next bike that we were going to talk about is a cruiser style. So this is a class 2, so it has a throttle. If you look at most bikes, the pedals are usually right below the seat post or close to that. This particular bike the pedals are forward about 6 to 8 inches. So when you're riding this bike, you actually, I don't want to say it's recumbent, but you're really sitting like almost with your back straight. It's a very comfortable ride. And once again, any bike that we offer to you in any of our brands, it's important, so important for you to try that bike. You should try it and ride it, because people read blogs, they talk to their neighbor, they've talked to a person that's a cyclist for their entire life, but it's never been on an e-bike. You want to make that decision on your own, and we want to be there for you to help you do that. And the way we help you do that, I'll say it again, you're going to hear all through this webinar, just try it. So there's the cruiser style. The next one is this is an interesting bike because it's a full suspension bike, full suspension mountain bike. These bikes are amazing, and you can see here you can see here with the rear suspension, front suspension, and then this particular bike has a dropper seat post on it. This is really fun. We actually put this seat post as an option on some bikes that are cruiser styles, that are comfort bikes, so that people, when they come to the stop sign, they can put the seat down and put their feet flat on the ground. And it just depends on the size of the person and the size of the bike. And then when they start riding, you don't want your knees bent really, when you're riding, you want a full extension if you can, or just a slight bend in the knee. So when you start riding, then you just push his seat up like that. And I'm doing it with my thumb right here. So it's all controlled right here off the handlebar, right off the cockpit. So there it is. And fun bikes. These bikes, you'll have a blast on these. So full suspension. The next bike this is an interesting bike. This is a cargo bike. We have it set up. So those of you that are raising kids, you can put them here in the seat. Put the one that you like the best in the front. No, I'm just teasing. We have a lot of fun in this store. We really do. This is a blast. This is such a good time. We laugh a lot. We tell a lot of stories. It's just fun. And people come in here and they're going, I just want to work here, because this has been such an amazing experience. So when you take the seats off, I'm not going to do that because it just takes, but if you look here, there's some floorboards. So as they get a little bit older, there's a pad that goes here. So you remove the seats, these baby seats, and you can put an actual pad right here, and they can put their feet on those floorboards. And we have little bitty handlebars right here that they can hold on to. Great bike.
I'll take it.
This one here,
We're gonna move on to styles.
this is this style here. Is it, what's that?
Mid-step.
This is a mid-step. Once again, we're back at the Gazelle lineup. But they come in several different brands also. But this bar is a little bit lower. Most of this, you'll see some bikes in here, and we'll talk about the bars higher. So it's a little bit easier to get on and off. It actually works really well when you come off the bike. You straddle the bike. You're not compromising yourself as you stand over the bicycle. The next one is, what's the next? Hi, how you doing? Good. We're doing a live webinar, so come on in and you'll be a part of it. You're talking to about a couple hundred people possibly.
I'll stay out of the way.
No, you're fine. The next one is, what's the next bike that we were talking about? The low step?
Yeah, low step.
So here's well, we already, oh, here it is. We started with this bike, but this is the low step. This is called the Easy Flow Gazelle. Once again, very, very comfortable bike. Now this bike here, standard on it, is got a little bit of a suspension seat post. There's also an interesting feature. This comes on several bikes that you can adjust your handlebars very simply by doing this. And then you get it to the position that you enjoy and you lock it back in, put that down, and you're off and rolling on a bike. This will be another, what is it?
High step?
This is a high step that's, I don't know what we're calling it. So there's a high step that's, once again, the Gazelle. So when I just showed you a few minutes ago with that mid step, this one's the higher bar. This gives you a little bit more rigidity in the frame as you get this. That's for a real, maybe an aggressive rider. It's not necessary to always have that, but it's just a nice feature. It's a very, very solid bike. So, where are we at?
We're moving on to the benefits of ownership.
Benefits of the ownership. I'm going to let Kevin jump in here. We're going to probably go between these two bikes or between these together. So go ahead and.
Yeah. The obvious thing is they get you places faster, right? An electric bike will help you maintain speeds up to 20 or above if you're on a class 3 bike. A lot of commuters go with the class 3 bike at 28 miles an hour because you can cover a lot of ground pretty quickly. And that's really the kind of the number one benefit to having an e-bike. The second way is, number two is a great way to mitigate the effects of a sedentary lifestyle, right? So getting out on your bike is something that's just super healthy for everybody. As Randy mentioned earlier, it gets the heart pumping. And again, if you have physical ailments, if you've had a lot of our customers that we see here have had a knee replacement or a hip replacement, and they can't get on a regular bicycle, or they can't go out and jog and do the things that they used to like to do. And e-bikes are allowing folks to really kind of rehab themselves and get out of that sedimentary lifestyle that they may be stuck in.
So another thing is exercise. A lot of people don't believe that an e-bike will give you the exercise that you need. I'll tell you a quick way to get exercise on an e-bike. Turn it off. Ride a 50-pound bike, ride a 60-pound bike. You're going to get a workout. But when you have it on and you're riding it, you're also going to really enjoy the fact that you, instead of going 5 or 6 miles or 10 miles, maybe even 20, you might double that. And we always joke about this. It's like, start out riding 5 miles a day, then add a mile a day. Before you know it, you're going to be right up there riding 30, 40, sometimes 50 miles a day. That's a lot of riding. But you'd be surprised how many people come in and go, this changed my life. Maybe an older crowd, a more maturing crowd. They go, I was sitting on the couch watching Judge Judy all afternoon, and this changed my life. And that makes a big difference. At least it makes a big difference to me to hear people talk like that and see how the e-biking can change their lifestyle. So what's next?
Yeah. And number 4 would be it increases your metabolism and core muscle strength because it allows you to ride for longer, right? You're spending more time because it is stretching your ride time out because you're not doing all the work. So, I always like to put it, when I go mountain biking, I used to be able to only do my the loop of the mountain bike trail one time on a traditional bicycle. Now I can do that loop 3 times in the same outing. So I get the same workout, but I'm covering more ground and I'm having more fun. So that's another great thing. Number 5, you can commute to work without sweating heavily, right? We've all spent those hot summers riding a bike someplace, and when you get someplace, you're all disheveled and sweating from everywhere. Well, you know, again, with an e-bike, you can do as much or as little as you want, work as you want to do. And in this case, you know, you can let the bike do a lot of the work in the hot months, so you're not showing up at your destination all sweaty. Number 6, long-range batteries to facilitate recreational riding. Again, you can go a lot farther into the backcountry, you know, again, but albeit if it's just doing that loop 3 times instead of 1 time, you just extend the amount of fun that you can have in a daily base. Number 7, great for families to share and use. It's, you know, a lot of these bikes like the Easy Flow that we were showing earlier have a quick adjust seat as well as a quick adjust stem here. So if you got different size riders in your family, you can move the bars quickly and easily without tools so that you could share a bike with somebody. Albeit if somebody's, you know, if you have a 7-foot person and a 4-foot person, that'll be a little bit challenging. But for average riders, you know, you can share a bike. So that's another nice thing about the e-bikes.
Another great benefit is the cardiovascular and also people with disabilities. This has been absolutely life-changing for me to see some of these people that have Parkinson's disease. Now, we're not just, a person with Parkinson's riding a bicycle, doesn't have to be an e-bike, is great benefit to them. I could tell some stories that would just literally bring tears to your eyes about people that have showed up that they can barely articulate, get on a bike. I'm thinking to myself, I'm putting them in harm's way, and they come back after being gone, some cases fairly long, 30, 45 minutes sometimes, which really isn't a test ride. Our test rides are about 10 minutes. But in that case, I was really, really happy that he came back and with his wife. And the man could walk with no problems. He could talk perfectly. I was absolutely blown away with that. But people with muscular dystrophy, people with neuropathy, people with all kinds of, and even PSTD, things that aren't an actual, you can't really tell that they have a disability. It's amazing. CU has done some studies that talk about how actually riding an e-bike is more beneficial than riding a regular bike for your cardiovascular. So those are studies, and those are basically opinions, but it's kind of interesting to see all of that. Let's see what else we got here.
Save productive time.
Yeah.
Right? So again, if getting stuff done is important, if you're going to find yourself riding in a car to go someplace, the time it takes to get the keys and the car started and finding a parking place and all of those things, a lot of times you can hop on an e-bike and get where you're going quicker than you can in a car, thus saving yourself productive time, you know, in your day. And then finally, the most important thing, one of the most important things I think here is that you're doing your bit for the environment by riding an electric bike. You're not, you know, getting in a car that's burning fossil fuels and adding to, you know, the pollution problem. You know, doing your part on an e-bike is huge because other people are going to see you on an e-bike, and it's interesting to watch how that spreads through a community. And it becomes adapted by all. And it's not just the bikes, it's the cars, the trucks, and other things that you see in your community as well. And I know we see a lot of it here in Louisville, and I know we see a lot of it in Boulder as well, you know, where folks are really embracing the non-fossil fuel and environmental way to go forward. So I think that's what we got there.
So I wanted to just, is that pretty much the,
you got one more thing other than that, and we're going to move on to, I think, Q&A, or no, we got the law, the legal slide.
Yeah, go ahead and pull that up. Joe and I are going to we're going to kind of span the room here just to show you folks about the bikes. These are bikes that we have for sale, obviously, but there are test ride bikes. We've got back stock on most every bike that you're seeing, and go ahead and hit the mountain bikes real quick, and then we're going to walk here into the back of showrooms. A lot of you folks saw the at the other webinar, the maintenance webinar, and you saw the workstation. But here's the Magnum brand, and this is, so Magnum's a big brand with us, just as Gazelle, and then of course our service department as well, and our accessories. And then you buy a bike from us, you receive a 20% discount on all accessories, and that's for life. You don't have to buy those accessories that day that you bought the bike. Maybe you come back a little bit later. We talk about a tire protection program that we have. We talk about locks or helmets or whatever is important to you to accessorize your bike. So let's go ahead and go out here in the front, and where are we gonna go here? So what's really important to us is that you check your state and local laws. Their municipalities have different laws. We never violate the federal law, so we never go over a 750 watt motor. There are bikes out there that we've talked about that are 1,000 watt and 1,500 watt. Those are made and strictly made for private property, farmers, ranchers, people like that. You'd be surprised. They're getting a fat tire bike. You know, we didn't point out a fat tire. We can kind of zoom in here. There's a full suspension fat tire bike. This is good for the outdoors person, the backcountry person, the fisherman, the hunter, the photographer. Those are phenomenal bikes. They're great. A lot of those bikes have throttles. And then the other thing is, it's so important, and we promote this so heavily, that you be courteous. That's just common sense, but it's amazing sometimes, and we see this not just with e-bikers, but with other bikers, that they may not be as courteous, but we want to be as courteous as possible as an e-bike rider. Right now, our demographics is a little bit more of a maturing age. They're typically not that type of aggressive rider, but we see it every now and then. So we want to keep e-bikes available for all of our trails and for all of our commuting surfaces that we have, because our trail system is absolutely phenomenal. And I don't believe I thanked the communities, Louisville, thank you for being a part of this, and Lafayette, and the town of Superior, and of course Commuting Solutions. They came to us and said, would you be interested in doing this? And we took that right away, because this is really, really important, and we hope that you enjoy the opportunity to try an e-bike at some point. And so we have question and answers, and I think somebody's going to give us a question, and we'll do our best to answer. Let's come around.
So let's just do this now, so we can just flip.
Great job, gentlemen. Thank you so much for that thorough overview. We really appreciate it. And I just want folks to know that we've heard you and your questions in the Q&A and in the chat, and I think we've resolved any unknown names or duplicate names, things of that nature. If there are any, Sydney, if you could just let me know and I can resolve that with folks here. But we do have some questions that have come in, so let's go ahead and get started answering them. Ronald asks, if you are familiar with Vail Pass, how well would the electric motor help getting from Frisco to the top of Vail Pass?
So we're somewhat familiar with that. Once again, that would be something that you would want to check with your local jurisdictions on that. Summit County right now, I believe, is only allowing Class 1 bikes, and I'm not sure if Vail Pass has been approved with that. We try to stay up on it, but it's changing so rapidly. So Ronald, we hope that you can find that out. We'll look that up for you too, though, and we can get an answer to you if you want us to.
It'll definitely help you in that ride, though. We have customers here that have purchased bikes Matter of fact, we have a customer who's bought four bikes from us as a result of the actual of his Vail Pass trip. He owns a house in Vail. He bought a cruiser for around town here. He's got a kind of a serious road bike as well, and he was going to ride Vail Pass, and his wife wanted to come, and she's not as serious a biker as he, so she hopped on his cruiser, which has a Bosch motor, and she followed him all the way to the top of Vail Pass and back on a cruiser style bike. And after that ride, it prompted him to come and buy 2 more of those bikes. So they will definitely help you with that ride. You
have a fan in him, clearly.
Yeah.
All right, the next question is from John. What are your feelings about belt-driven e-bikes?
So a belt-driven e-bike is actually a very, very nice system. You have less maintenance. You do need to keep them clean, but that's true with a chain as well. They'll last probably 5,000 or 6,000 miles, maybe even more. You don't have typically, you won't have a derailleur adjustment because you'll have an internal transmission on that bike, like we showed on the Reese Mueller and some of the Gazelles. So we're strong proponents of belt drive systems.
Yep.
So,
and I think there's something you're going to see more and more of in the future. More and more brands. Gazelle, one of our main brands, hasn't had a belt drive in the past, but they'll be introducing a belt drive in their 2021 models. I find them to just be quieter. You don't have a chain clanking around when you're going down the road or hitting bumps, and it's a smoother riding setup than the traditional chain and derailleur cog set.
All right, the next question is from Drew, and he asks, how much do e-bikes weigh, roughly?
So you saw the one with the battery that weighs in at 23 pounds. Typically, they weigh between 40 and 60 pounds. Some of them actually will weigh a little bit more, like the cargo bikes. They're going to weigh a little bit more. The trikes are going to weigh a little bit more. I wanted to get Evo in here because, but he was helping out a customer that came in. So we're going to bring Evo in and he can answer some questions as well.
Okay. All right. We answered this a little bit, but if you care to elaborate, that would be, I think, beneficial. Don asked, can all of these e-bikes be ridden on all local trails?
As far as being allowed, or as far as being off-road enough?
I would say regulations.
Well, yes. Yes.
Well, here's what most trail systems allow class 1 and class 2. Okay, they don't allow the 28-mile-an-hour bike to be ridden on a trail system. However, that's changing rapidly, so I would always continue to check your local jurisdiction. It's kind of like a car. A car can go 100 miles an hour, 120 miles an hour, but you don't drive it that fast. And I don't want to be proponent of breaking the rules, because the rule says that you're not allowed to ride a class 3, for instance, like on Coal Creek Trail. If you're riding responsibly, you should never have an issue. But of course, follow the local jurisdiction. I can't even say it, jurisdictions.
Thank you. Someone working with ULI asks, can I do my own maintenance on an e-bike, or does the battery need servicing in the store?
No, you can do your own maintenance for the most part. A lot of people ask this question because they're concerned about whether an e-bike requires more maintenance than a regular bike, if there's any differences. And the truth is, the bike side of the bike, which is the same as any other bike, is what requires maintenance, chain, brakes, and all that stuff. The battery and the motor don't require anything. The motor itself is not a thing that gets maintained or oiled or anything. As long as you keep it clean and you treat it like you're supposed to, you're fine. The battery, though, it does require a little bit of care rather than maintenance, because you don't have to maintain them, but you have to make sure that they are within the temperature, like Kevin said earlier. When it's really cold, and I like to play it safe, anywhere below 40, and I am playing it safe, anywhere below 40 or above 90, take the bike out of the garage or grab the battery and bring it inside. That will go a very, very long way. And the other thing is to never drop your battery. You have to be careful with that. These are the 3 things that they're very sensitive about. And if you do take care of them like you're supposed to, you don't let that battery die, you know, out of charge and just kind of stay without charge for months at a time. That will kill the battery, you know. If you respect those things, that battery should give you the 1100 cycles or so, depending on the battery that it should give you, which is a lot of years of using.
And if you subscribe to us, if you get an email from us, if you've been in for a test ride, you usually get an email, and you don't unsubscribe, we will send out an email that says, by the way, make sure that it's going to get to 30 degrees tonight or 25 degrees tonight. Bring your batteries in, or in the next couple of days, it's going to stay below 25 degrees. Bring your batteries in. We actually had, I'll say it, the mayor of Louisville. She had that point, she was a council member. She wasn't the mayor yet. She got our email, and she did not own an e-bike at that point. She does now, but she did not. And she said, I went out and got all my batteries for my battery operated drills and saws, and I brought them inside because I got that email from you. So we give those little tidbits now and then. So
That's awesome. Thank you. Sue asked, how heavy are batteries?
they're going to be between 7 and 10 pounds, depending on the style and the casing of the battery itself.
Okay. And what type of bike rack works best for e-bikes?
So that's a great question, because we go through this all the time. It needs to be a platform rack for an e-bike. And so it's the kind that fits into the receiver, the 2-inch or 1.25-inch receiver you would hook a trailer up to or something like that. And then the bike actually the wheels sit right on the rack itself. It's a good idea to always remove the battery when you're transporting it, because it's easier to load as well, because you're going to take 7 to 10 pounds, 12 pounds off of that bike when you load it on that rack. And then people have a tendency, they want to use the rack that they have and they want to hang them. We've made a policy here now, because we've just seen so many accidents with it, that we're not being mean, but we won't even help them load it, because we don't want the liability. Oh, well, you guys loaded it and I drug it behind my car. We have a bike in the back right now that the whole handlebar is shaved it's shaved off one whole side. He drug it for probably about 8 miles, he thought. And it was on a hanging rack, and it's sad, because it was a fairly new bike. It was only a few weeks old. So
Bummer.
Another thing to look out for too is when you buy a rack, this rack has to hold, if it's for 2 bikes, at least 120 pounds. That's something that we only order here, because you got to consider that your average e-bike is going to be 60 pounds. If you know for a fact that your bike is more than 60 pounds, you might be able to just put one in there. But you want to make sure that a double rack holds at least 120 pounds. That's a big sign, and we don't sell anything that's below that.
Got it. All right. We have time for probably 5 more minutes worth of questions. So do add any further questions if you think of any. Karen asks, how much do bikes cost on average?
So in the store here, I'll give you a range, okay? There's a range that starts about $1,500, $1,400, something like that, and we can go up to $14,000, okay? But between the $2,000 mark and $4,000 mark, there's a lot of bikes in that price range. And you can even get some really nice quality bikes just slightly below $2,000, around $1,800. So it's an investment. We understand. That's why we work so hard to have you test ride a lot of different bikes. I always say, just don't go to Starbucks for a month and you'll have enough money saved up to buy an e-bike. Okay, that's a joke.
Point. Yeah, we get it. So another question is from Dan. He's asked, how soon after purchasing the bike should you bring it in for an initial maintenance?
Okay, well, that's a good question. As a matter of fact, here at the store, we do include the first tune-up when you purchase the bike from us. And we always recommend that to be anywhere between around 200 to 300 miles, because that's usually when your shifter cables and different parts might settle and might just, kind of like stretch out and kind of find its place, and at that point it's usually necessary to do a quick adjustment. Now the good thing is after you do this first tune-up, your next tune-up is most likely not going to be for around 6 months, depending obviously on how much you use the bike, but for the average person it's about 6 months or so after that first tune-up. But yes, it is common to get your bike to feel a little clicky and a little out of tune in the, within the first month or two.
Yeah, so if you're hearing, if the bike's not quite settled for you and you're hearing clanking and you're feeling maybe brakes not working exactly properly or whatever, even at 50 miles or whatever, bring the bike in so that it can be, whether you take it to this shop or you take it to your wherever you purchased the bike from or your local bike shop, because you want that bike always tuned. But like Ivo said, here at our store we offer that first tune up. But if it's at 100 miles and it's not right for you, bring it in. We'll take care of you.
That's great to hear. Corinne asked, can the battery get wet? Thinking about getting caught in a rainstorm.
Yeah, batteries, as long as they're on the bike, I don't want to say they're waterproof, so don't ride them in Coal Creek, but or in some lake somewhere, but they are sealed well enough that you can ride them in a rainstorm. You can ride them in the snow. We ride these fat tire bikes in the snow. They're fun. They're a blast to ride.
As water resistant as a car, basically.
Yeah, they pretty much are like that. So to answer your question is, I don't have anxiety over that. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Okay, I think this will be our last question, and it's from Adrian. If you can get a decent e-bike for under $2,000, what are the main reasons to consider getting a more expensive one?
So there's maybe Ivo and I will both tag team this. It may be a longer battery, a little larger battery. So that's your fuel tank. That's going to give you a little more distance. It could be hydraulic disc brakes over just regular disc brakes or rim brakes. A lot of the Gazelle models have hydraulic rim brakes because it's a Dutch bike. And in Holland, they don't want to use a disc because they just kind of put them in a bike rack. It's their main mode of transportation. And it's pretty flat. What else, Ivo?
It's mostly about components, to be honest. I mean, obviously the frame goes a long way, and better brands might have better frames and better fitting, but for the average rider, it will be the components. You get those hydraulic brakes, less effort to stop. You get a better derailleur, it acts better, and it lasts longer. Things like that. The battery, you want to go farther. It's the whole, like, as you change components and you get better and better components, the bike slowly becomes less and less needy, and it needs less maintenance. So mainly the components. I guess it's a big question to the customer is, am I okay with how the bike feels? How far do I want to go? And what experience do I want? And that it'll be, depending on what he wants. If he wants to go a long way and he doesn't care about brakes, maybe he has to look for something with a bigger motor or a bigger battery. If he wants the bike to feel really, really well and perform perfectly, maybe not go as far or as fast, you can get something with better components, but that's usually where the money goes when you go up in price. It's just quality of components and performance.
And I'll correct one thing that Ivo said. She could too. He or she.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's funny.
Well, great job, gentlemen. I loved how dynamic you made this with the video camera and your PowerPoint going on simultaneously. Sydney, could we please advance the PowerPoint? Awesome. So this is the moment we've all been waiting for, right? Sydney, I think you were going to jump in here, correct?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for participating in our webinar. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to have our drawing. And so one person will win this e-bike, and it is courtesy of E-Bikes of Colorado. So Randy, without further ado, if you wanted to pick a number, and then I'll read off the panelist list or the attendance list and see who is our lucky winner. And before I do that, just wanted to let you know I will be promoting you to a panelist after I do that. And so if you want to unmute yourself and show video, just so we can see you and see that you're here and accept your e-bike, that would be great. And then if you stick around at the end, just make sure that you can message me your email address. So Randy, without further ado, if you want to pick a number.
I'll pick it. Number 34.
Okay, so just give me 1 minute to count all these up.
I should have picked a lower number, huh?
No, you're good. 34 it is.
That's a little special number to me.
So Randy, you and I can just provide some commentary while Sydney is counting. So tell us about, again, some of the benefits of riding an e-bike.
You know, I just think the way I got into the business was because we would ride our bikes, our regular bikes. I've never been a cyclist. I don't come from that. It's not a part of my DNA. And we would ride maybe 5 or 6 miles one way, leaving the house. We wouldn't ever put them on a car and take them to a trailhead. And then the next day we would ride maybe the other way. And so we're seeing the same scenery, just backwards, just reverse. And I stopped at a store to try an e-bike one day. And all of a sudden I went, this is a lot of fun. And before I knew it, I just was hooked. I couldn't get it out of my mind. And then I got my wife, Barb, to try it. And it was amazing. And she's like going, I want to get this rocking and rolling. And there's one other person I wanted to talk about, because Barb puts up with me being late for dinner, me not, she's going, you were down at the store at 6 a.m. and you didn't get home until 9 o'clock. I'm going, yeah, we got a lot going on. And Barb works really a lot behind the scenes for us. And I really want to show some appreciation. She does. You'll see, if you ever buy a bike from us, you'll see that there's some little goodies that come along. Barb's a big part of all of that, if not.
That's great, Randy. That's nice that you gave her a shout out. So Sydney, I think you're ready, right?
Yes, our winner is Frobby. And I'm going to promote you to a panelist. So it should be there shortly.
Okay.
And so yeah, Frobby, if you wanted to unmute yourself, if you wanted to show us on the camera, congratulations.
So
Yay.
Robbie, let's see you. I don't see Robbie. Is Robbie there?
Frobby, are you here?
Did Robbie leave?
Congratulations, enjoy your bike from,
Frobby, we just want to make sure that you're on the webinar.
Oh,
he's here. You should have access now. I unmuted you.
it's Frobby. I was mispronouncing.
I just sent you a request to start your video. So if you wanted to accept that request.
He definitely let us know he's on the webinar, so.
Yes, you are here. This is noted.
Okay, no? Yes?
Frobby, are you able to start your video? I think I sent a request if you are able to.
You might be on a computer that doesn't have proper software. We run into that.
He doesn't have
Okay.
a camera, he just said.
Yeah, at council meetings. Yeah, he doesn't have a camera. Yeah.
Okay.
So, well,
great.
we've got you logged. You're good to go. Oh my gosh. Oh my God, it's a she.
Oh, I'm so sorry for.
Oh, I apologize. I'm terrible at this. Thank you for that, and I apologize for that. So she is here. That's awesome.
And if Frobby, if you can please private message me your email address, that'd be great. Thank you.
And
Thank you, Randy.
I'm embarrassed.
That's okay. It's hard to understand just from a name on a screen, so no problem at all. So if you could advance to the next slide, Sydney, that'd be great. And we just want to thank folks again for this opportunity and for coming out tonight online. And we appreciate the partnership with the City of Louisville, especially Katie Baum, Town of Superior, E-Bike of Colorado, and City of Lafayette. So I hope you found it to be educational. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Not letting you.
Hi, Audrey.
Hey, well, that was a nerve.